Everyone has a story. And so does everything. Antique, vintage, or curio.
Honestly, so exciting to see a doll like this from the 1800s in such incredible condition.
Like, we've had collections that have sold for, tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Technological innovations, cultural significance, personal memories. What is it that gives each of these unique items their timeless quality?
Can't find these anywhere. No.
Join us as we blow off the dust and breathe new life into the past and the curious. In this episode of The Past and the Curious, we uncover captivating stories from literature, elegant tableware, and iconic cartoon memorabilia. Explore the adventurous tale of the Two Wyoming Girls book.
Miss Marshall really did latch on to an opportunity. She saw a door that was opening and was able to take full advantage of that.
Admire the craftsmanship of vintage dessert bowls.
Stuckamine pottery is treasured because the company is no longer in existence, and also because it has been around since the time of Napoleon.
Rediscover the charm of Mickey and Donald figurines.
When these characters were first introduced by Walt Disney in the 1930s, merchandising and selling toys and figurines was a huge part of the original plan.
My name is Megan Brito, and today I brought in a book called Two Wyoming Girls and Their Homestead Claim. When I originally got the book, it was at the 2015 Wealth book sale. There was a bin that had books for $1, rummaging through it, and I came across this book. And the cover, the artwork really got me. I wasn't really focused on anything else. It was for $1, so I thought, what the heck, why not?
In the 19th century literary world, a unique narrative belongs to Caroline Louise Marshall, author of the 1899 story Two Wyoming Girls and Their Homestead Claim. Initially, she published under her real name, but as the 20th century approached, she donned the pseudonym Carl Lewis Kingsbury. This was a tactical move in an era plagued by gender biases, where a woman's literary work was often scrutinized more for her gender than by its merits. As Carl Lewis Kingsbury, Marshall was free to continue writing such works as The Lost Monument and The Mystery at the Carroll Ranch. Marshall's choice to write as Carl Lewis Kingsbury reflects both ingenuity and resilience, highlighting the challenges and creativity of women in a predominantly male literary world. She not only achieved literary success, but also subtly influenced the changing perceptions towards women writers.
Megan, thank you very much for joining us for the show today. Can you tell us a little bit about the book that you've brought in for us to look at?
So the book that I have is Two Wyoming Girls and Their Homestead Claim. It was written by a woman named Carrie Marshall. This edition that I have is from 1899. In Guelph, it's like a community book sale, and they had a bin of books that were for $1. I came across this book and it really caught my eye. I thought it was really interesting. The cover, I loved how it was this gold imprint.
Inside the book gives the history of the church from Toronto where this was donated as a gift. And this young lady won this. It was a second prize. At the time, this amounts to a piece of art.
I would love to know who would have read this book.
There was quite a divide in the literature at the times as they tried to find something that would appeal to both audiences. I understand that you've discovered some very interesting information about this particular author. Can you tell us a little bit of how her career unfolded?
I believe that she was born about 1829 in Illinois in a very small community. Carl Lewis Kingsbury was the pseudo male name that she wrote some books under, and how society was at that time. Women didn't really have much of a voice. I could imagine at the time it was really challenging for female authors to get anything published.
For the time, it was quite a common practice because, as you mentioned, it was very difficult for a woman to break through those barriers. And there's a number of other famous women who did exactly the same thing. For the era that we're talking about, right around the 1900s, a book like this would have really been challenging some of the expectations that women faced in this era.
So Carrie Marshall changing the path of what women could write.
She had a difficult job.
Yeah.
For the time, Miss Marshall really did latch on to an opportunity. She saw a door that was opening and was able to take full advantage of that. The times were giving women a small opportunity that they never had before. Because this book portrays two women, very independent women, taking on the challenges of the times in the American West, homesteading on their own, it's a whole new idea. And that, I think, really adds to the value of this particular piece. This book is highly reflective of an area when some of the norms were being challenged, and challenged in some cases quite effectively. Part of the appeal of a book like this is the silhouette in the distance with the two girls on the front highlighted in gold. That book would have been very successful in catching anybody's eye. Megan, when you look at the book displayed in your office, what does it make you feel?
When I do look at the book, I think of a time of innovation. I think of a time of women and independence setting in. Even just the silhouette in gold, to me, showed a sign of these are two women in strength. These are two, I know it says girls, but I see them as girls becoming women and holding their claim, and that's a sense of power and a sense of independence in a way that was not possible for women at one time.
It's outstanding for the era to have that bit of history, and the value going forward is for people to be able to look back and see what a journey.
School's not cheap, and I got it for $1. How much do you think that this book is worth?
I would say it could quite easily hit in the range of $300 to $400.
Wow, okay.
Do you think you may be encouraged to part with the book?
I think I would love to find somebody who would be interested in collecting books where authors write under pseudonyms.
Can you imagine, in this time and era, the young girl that won this as a prize, the inspiration that that may have given her as she moved forward in the world?
That page in there alluding to Virginia Johnson winning this book as a second prize, I was able to have an image of who I thought this girl was and what I can imagine her life to look like and how this book could have influenced it for her. You know, in the 20s with the ability to vote, and then to the 60s with the women's rights movements, and how she would have lived a whole life of moving from little independence and autonomy and ability in this world to having full freedom.
It wasn't Carl Kingsbury that inspired that young girl, it was Miss Marshall. Can I ask what the plan for the book moving forward might be?
A little bit torn, so it might go back on my shelf in its home that it has been sitting in for the past 8 years. It may be sold, and I hope it would go to someone who is able to also treasure and care for the book as much as I did.
Well, Megan, thank you for coming in and bringing this marvelous piece of history. We've come a long way. Female author today, no longer afraid to use her own name, but I think it's significant as a reminder that this wasn't always so. And we have to be very careful that we don't slide backwards.
Whoever watches this episode, any old books that they have in their home that they didn't think had much value, read about it and learn more about the time that it was written. You may not realize that the literature really does speak to the time of society, the time it was created.
Up next,
I think the connection to the Napoleonic era was fascinating to me. I thought that was really, really cool. I had no idea. My name is Mark Wilkie-Pachine, and today I brought in a set of French dessert bowls that have been in my mom's family for a long time. I've always wanted to know more of their history and the manufacturing history of them, and I haven't known it. There's no one alive in the family anymore to ask. What stands out to me is the color, the ornate design, the uniqueness of them, and the memory I have from my mom when I was a kid.
In the late 18th century, in the town of Sarreguemines, Lorraine, a story of artistic triumph and innovation began with the establishment of Sarreguemines pottery. Nestled in an area abundant with clay, the small, fine, tin-glazed pottery factory flourished, its artisans skillfully tapping into the local resources. Under the guidance of Paul Utzschneider, who took the reins in 1799, Sarreguemines transcended its humble beginnings. Utzschneider's vision for industrial and artistic progress, coupled with modern manufacturing techniques, propelled the pottery to prominence. The real artistic renaissance for Sarreguemines, however, was helmed by Alexandre de Geiger, Utzschneider's son-in-law. Under his direction, the mid-19th century saw the birth of Sarreguemines' renowned Majolica line, a testament to their innovative spirit. These pieces weren't just pottery, they were a symbol of culture and elegance, resonating with the grandeur of the Napoleonic era.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for coming to the show today. And what have you brought for us to see?
I brought a set of 5 dessert bowls that belong to my maternal grandmother's family, and they've been in our family for a very long time. My mom used to use them when we were kids actually as active dessert bowls, and I remember you put something in the bowl, and the game would be to find what fruit you got in the bottom of the bowl by eating what was in the bowl, right? And that was kind of a big game as we were kids.
You can imagine what fun it would be to get to the bottom of your dish of ice cream or dessert and discover which fruit you happened to get that day.
I know that they're over 100 years old, at least that's what we were told, and I know that they're from France originally, and that's besides that, I don't know much else besides them. So I'm looking to learn a little bit more about these bowls today. What can you tell me about them, Linda?
What we have here are Sarreguemines plates that were made in France, and the Sarreguemines company has been around since the late 1700s. They were originally in an area of France that was taken over by Germany, and they moved further into France. They've been creating pottery for all of these years, and as far as I know, they're still creating pottery today. It also started to export to other countries worldwide. As the company expanded, they got into stoneware and other things, including designs like this. In 2002, the company opened under a different name and had somewhat of a revival, but has since closed down again. But luckily, through people like you and other collectors, their reputation lives on. Sarreguemines pottery is treasured because the company is no longer in existence, and also because it has been around since the time of Napoleon. Napoleon promoted this kind of ceramic. He loved colorful things, and he was a user of these plates. Who wouldn't want a Napoleon-endorsed dessert bowl?
So when would these particular bowls have been made?
They were actually made around World War II, and we know that because of the stamp France on the back of them.
Who would have owned plates like this back then? Was it more of a luxury item?
Probably it was more of a luxury item because these aren't just everyday plates. They're decorative, they're colorful, and they would have been a status symbol in the home.
How rare are plates like these?
Well, it's really hard to tell. They were manufactured in a factory setting, so there would have been a number of them made. It's hard to tell how many have survived. I have seen a few for sale online.
Can you tell me a little about how these plates would have been made?
They would have been made using a mold and a clay slip. And the slip would be poured into the mold, and then it would be allowed to dry. And then once it's dry, it would be taken out of the mold and refined, because the edges where the mold comes together would leave a rough edge. That would be polished off. Any imperfections would be dealt with, touched up if they needed to be, and then they would be fired. And that's called bisque firing. After they're cool, they would have been painted. The colors would have been added with pigments, and then they would be glazed and then refired again. So it's a 2-firing process.
Were all the Sarreguemines plates like this, or did they change their designs over time?
Over the years, the designs definitely changed. I think these are very unique because they're embossed. The colors have changed. Things became simpler after this, and the designs became less decorative. So, Mark, how collectible do you think these plates are?
I would think that they represent a bit of history that's no longer around in a wide sense anymore. So I think the fact that they're hard to find, they're so colorful, they're so ornate, they're so unique in that way, I would imagine they catch the eye of a lot of collectors. I know that they've always been a proud piece in our family history, so I can imagine others would feel the same way. But I have absolutely no idea how much they're worth. Would you be able to help me on that one?
I've done some research online, Mark, and I have found a few places that do have these for sale. Not many. And the prices tend to vary a bit, considering that one dish is quite chipped, but the other 4 look to be in mint condition. I would probably guess that these are about $150.
Oh my. Well, you know, I'm not going to be, this isn't my retirement ticket today, but I'll tell you, it's worth a lot more than that to me, family history-wise.
How do these plates make you feel when you see them in your home or when you eat dessert off of them?
Well, you know, in the family history, I never knew my maternal grandmother. She passed away before I was born. So the only memories I really have with these are with my mom when I was a kid, eating dessert out of them. I don't dare eat out of them now, knowing more about them from today, but the memories I have with it are with my mom when I was a kid, and it's nice to have that, especially since she's now passed away.
What a lovely memorial for your mother that you're here today. What are your plans for them going forward?
Well, I'm going to carefully pack them up and take them home back to my house, and then eventually the plan is to have a nice way of displaying them that they're protected. I have cats, and the last thing I want is for a cat to go on the ground, so I wouldn't want that to happen. It's one of 3 pieces of the family history that survived, and other than that, I have nothing else that shows that they were even around. So it's important for me to keep these around and keep them safe.
I thought the fruit bowls were really great. I really enjoyed learning about the history of their background, and I think they'd be a great addition to anyone's collection of antique pottery.
The value of them, it was kind of funny. I didn't know what to expect, but I'm happy to know now, even though it's not my ticket to early retirement. It's still good to have that knowledge as a base.
Up next,
When Disney brought in the artist to create these pieces for the stores, these were hand-painted, they're delicate. You're not gonna find pieces like that today.
My name is Melissa Maydeacon. I brought in a Donald Duck figure and a Mickey Mouse figure. I was interested in knowing more information on them and just to see how old they were. My mom owned them, and then about 14 years ago, she gave them to me, and I've just had them ever since.
step into the vibrant world of 1980s nostalgia, where Disney magic comes alive through the masterful sculptures of German artist Stefan Toth. Widely recognized for his intricate and lifelike representations of beloved Disney characters, Toth began his journey with Disney in the early 1980s when he was commissioned to create a series of character statues for collectors and theme parks. In an era defined by polyester and pop culture, Toth's skilled hands transformed icons like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck into timeless statues. His remarkable attention to detail and ability to capture the essence of these characters made his work truly stand out. These pieces, now treasured collectibles, encapsulate the essence of our childhood imagination, reconnecting us with the child deep within.
Melissa, thank you so much for coming on today. Can you tell me who this is we're looking at?
So it's Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse. I've had them from my mom about 14 years ago. She had them for I have no idea how long. Honestly, I'd like to know more about them. I don't know where they came from, how old they are.
Today, Melissa has brought in some 1980s Disney figurines. They are out of this world. They're bigger than life. The Mickey Mouse in the airplane measures about 15 inches high, and Donald Duck measures 19.5 inches high. These particular models don't appear to have a signature on them, but I can tell right away by looking that they were a creation modeled after the design by German artist Stefan Toth, who was hired by Disney to create them. These characters honestly don't need an introduction. These are icons. They're probably the most well-known characters in my household, and we're gonna have a lot of fun talking about them today. Melissa, can you tell me how these came into your possession?
So my mom owned them, and then about 14 years ago, she gave them to me, and I've just had them ever since. It was kind of to protect them, just because they are so big, they are fragile, so I just wanted to protect them and keep them safe.
What is it about these that really stands out to you?
Honestly, I've never seen anything like them, and I just kind of thought they were cool, like Mickey being in the plane, and Donald looked like he's going off somewhere, so just always thought they were cute.
Looking at these pieces, they are absolutely fantastic. The size alone just makes my eyes pop out. If we're looking at the composition, Mickey here appears to be perhaps a poly resin, and Donald has a bit more of a hard finish, so I think he would be the version that was made in polyester. These pieces are both very delicate and hand-painted. Mickey Mouse, it has a little bit of damage on it and a little bit of fading, and then Donald Duck is a polyester material, and it's hand-painted and very fragile. When these characters were first introduced by Walt Disney in the 1930s, merchandising and selling toys and figurines was a huge part of the original plan. These particular figurines first came out in the 1980s, and they were first put into Disney stores. They weren't exactly accessible in terms of price either when they came out. They ran about $125, $150. The brand was absolutely worldwide. It was so popular, and honestly, still to this day, anywhere you go, you would recognize these two. The fact that these pieces were created by an artist hired by Disney to be in their stores and then were so popular that they had to mass produce them a little bit more in order to sell them was really a testament to how collectible things were at the time. As Mickey Mouse and Disney toys grow in popularity, the quality definitely starts to go downhill as things are more and more mass produced. You really don't see hand-painted and creative figurines like this. When you look at Mickey Mouse, you can tell he's more of a hard plastic, which are a lot more fragile. So you'd have to be very careful storing him in just such a way in a temperature-controlled environment to keep him in as good condition as you can. When it comes to Donald Duck, I believe he was created using the polyester technique, which means it would have started with a molded cage. The sculptor would have put layer over layer on him, actually molding the piece and then hand painting it. When I look at it, it almost looks like there's a hole there, but it's just the epaulette on his shoulder, and it's a really great design. In the 1980s, when Disney brought in the artist to create these pieces for their stores, these were hand painted, they're delicate. You're not going to find pieces like that today. As we move into more cost-effective mass production of toys and figurines, you really lose that artistry that you would find in pieces like this.
Which is kind of sad.
It really is.
So you're a collector. Have you noticed any pieces like this?
I honestly have never seen pieces of this magnitude, especially when it comes to Disney. And you probably know Disney fans are Disney fiends. Like, they go nuts over unique Disney pieces. Disney truly created their brand all around merchandising. I think it's really neat that they took a chance with big collectible figurines like this in the 80s, because they certainly are hitting the mark for collectors today. Anytime a new toy or figurine would be released, it's truly just introducing to a next generation and getting even more lifelong customers. Just recently, the image of Steamboat Willie, which was Disney's original Mickey Mouse cartoon, actually entered public domain. What a testament that Disney fans are still drawn to that image after all these years. You got these from your mom, Melissa. Did your kids learn about these characters from you?
I like Disney, so I enjoy watching the older versions of the shows. So they do know about them, but they don't know a lot.
I think we both know it's every kid's dream to go to Disney, and it's because we grew up surrounded by characters and figurines like these. Disney laid the groundwork with these characters and have been building on that ever since. We can still see the impact of that today with the lasting recognition of characters like this. Do you have any idea of what these are valued at?
I do not. Could you give me an idea of what they're worth?
I sure can. These are very rare pieces, and Disney collectors are wild to find rare pieces. I would estimate the Mickey Mouse to be worth between $400 and $800. And I would estimate Donald Duck here to be worth $500 and $1,000, depending on the right collector. Because these are so rare, there are only a few people online who hold most of the collection, so they kind of set the tone for the price. Online, you're going to find them at a much higher price. I think if you were to sell these, you would sell them in a second and you would be really happy with how you did.
The price, I didn't know what they were worth, so it was nice to get to know what they are worth. Definitely changes the way I look at them now. They will definitely be more protected.
Can you tell me what's your plan with them moving forward?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. Kind of take up a bit of space in my house.
Would you consider selling these?
I would, yes.
Okay, we'll have to have a little chat after. Thanks, Melissa, for bringing in this really fun bit of Disney history.
Thank you so much for teaching me about them.
I'm so glad that Melissa had kept these in her home so carefully wrapped up so that we could enjoy them today, because it was really fun to discover them.